Welcome to the second episode of this special edition of A Closer Look. I recently had the privilege of speaking with Angela Bell, a Gold Star mom who has endured one of the greatest heartbreaks imaginable, the loss of her son Sean to suicide. In sharing her story, she hopes to bring greater understanding to the struggles that many people face and to inspire others to look for signs, seek support, and know that they are not alone. We are here to listen to her journey through grief, resilience, and healing, as well as her insights on mental health awareness and prevention. Angela, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So tell me about Sean. What was he like?
He was a good kid. He was your typical teenage boy. He didn't really get in trouble. He did on occasion, but not like anything earth-shattering. He was an average student. He graduated with honors from Hickory. He never was a college kid. Like he was like, I don't want to go to college. I just want to go in the military. So he said that from the time he was in the 6th grade. He finished boot camp is when 9/11 happened. So they thought it was like, a drill because who's going to bomb the World Trade Centers. And so he finished boot camp, and his first duty station was Korea, North Korea, up near the DMZ, South Korea, I'm sorry, near the DMZ. While he was in the military, for someone who didn't want to who didn't want to go to school, he obtained 2 bachelors, 2 masters, and was in the middle of his doctoral degree when he died. And all of his degrees were in some form of cybersecurity.
So he really seemed to enjoy being in the military, and
He
it sounds
did.
like he was really
He
motivated
did. He
to
was
advance.
very. He was good. He was a good guy. He was a good NCO, which is like a non-commissioned officer. I remember when he died, we got this letter from someone who served under him when they were in Kuwait, I think. And he told me the story of when this particular enlisted guy had to be at a certain point at like 3:30 in the morning. And Sean went to his barracks, got him up, drove him there to make sure that this kid was where he was supposed to be on time. And Dennis was the gentleman's name, said he was so impressed that just an NCO would think about their
Sounds like he had an impact on a lot of people.
He did. He enjoyed it. His last billet station was at Fort Belvoir, so he worked between Fort Belvoir and the Pentagon, and he helped develop a new effort for the Army. It was called UNISA. He was the only enlisted in a billet of officers.
Wow.
And at his memorial, his lieutenant colonel told his dad and I that Sean was handpicked for that particular billet. So
That's
that
impressive.
he was a good guy. He was just a good guy.
So what kind of support has been most helpful to you during this difficult time?
Doing interviews, talking about Sean. I feel like as long as I talk about him, no one will forget who he is. Plus, I'm a face of this is what's left after the impact of suicide. And so I talk about Sean every chance I get. I help everywhere that I can, because if I can help one person, whether I know about it or not, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do to honor Sean.
So how has this experience helped shape your view on mental health and suicide?
I understand mental health. My mother had some mental health issues, so I understand it. I think sometimes with the military, those things are a little shoved under the rug, kind of.
Right. There's a certain stigma that may be attached,
Yes.
and it still is for anyone who, just
Yes.
for suicide in general.
Yes. I come from a generation that you didn't say the word suicide. Like you just didn't say it.
Right.
I'm not ashamed of how Sean died.
Right.
He served our country honorably for 20 years. This was just, I said to you earlier, a permanent solution to a temporary issue.
Right.
And whatever he had going on at that particular time in his life.
What do you wish more people understood about suicide or the impact it has on families? I know you just sort of mentioned how you wish he knew it was a permanent solution to a
Right.
temporary issue.
Right. I think because people don't talk about suicide. Even now, everybody talks about everything, except suicide. So when you talk to families that are impacted by veteran suicide, you hear in everything from, the hidden wounds of war to he died while on active duty, and some people won't even say the word.
Right.
But there's no stigma in the word suicide. I think people say, well, he committed suicide. No, he didn't commit to it. He died by suicide. There's a difference.
That's a really good point.
And that's why I always correct people. I try not to do it maliciously or
Right,
ugly,
right.
but he didn't commit to anything. It just was a split-second decision that he made, and so he died by suicide.
Were there any signs that Sean was struggling?
So when he came back from Afghanistan, while he was there, he was awarded the Bronze Star. And he was awarded the Bronze Star by a 2-star that Sean drove. So that was Sean's particular job in wherever camp he was at the time. And he drove him during active combat. So when Sean came back, I would notice that, fireworks, if he wasn't prepared for fireworks, he was very, flinchy. There were a couple of things that, like, his mom would know that maybe someone else
Right,
might not notice. And so toward the end of his career, because he was at Fort Belvoir in D.C., he wanted to come home to Chesapeake. And he was trying to figure out the end of his career. Do I go government, like a GS
Right.
billet? Do I go as a contractor? Do I, stay up there? He was married and had a son. So that was a lot of pressure on him too. Plus, he was trying to finish this billet out. Like, he started it, so he wanted to make sure that when he left, when he retired, that it was like it was supposed to be.
Sounds like he had a lot of stress.
A lot of stress.
So, what advice would you give to other parents who may be worried about their children's, and I say children because they're your children at any age,
Right.
their mental health, or that they may have noticed some of the things that you said that you noticed in Sean?
Well, I think you have to address it. And sometimes, so Sean was 38 when he died. He was still my kid. He
Absolutely.
always. And I think sometimes, because he was a grown man and he had his own life,
Right.
some parents might not want to have that conversation. But you have to have that
Right.
conversation. It's,
It's not an easy conversation to have, but it's so important.
not. Because my own personal opinion when it comes to suicide, it's not, my opinion is when people that die by suicide, it's not a planned death. Like, it's like something happens in that one split second.
Right.
And
It's what's so difficult to understand.
Right. Because you as just a normal everyday person, what's happening right now as we're sitting here in these chairs is not going to be what's going to go on in 20 minutes from now or 30 minutes from now.
You're not going to remember it maybe in 5
Right.
years. Absolutely.
Right. And so that's why I always talk about suicide.
Right.
Because things always do get better.
Right.
I think. Now, I've never been in that situation.
Right. And I think it's okay to not be okay.
Yes, it is okay to not be okay.
And to talk about it, to get help. There is help out there, and I think breaking that stigma is such a key element in prevention of suicide.
It is. one of the things that Sean always said was that he couldn't go ask for help because of the type of clearance that he had, and he was always afraid he would lose his job.
Right.
Now, of course, things have things changed in the 20 years that Sean served, but when he went in 2001, things were way different than in 2021. He should have been able to go and ask for help without worrying
about losing his job and
Right.
for the career.
Right.
And
I'm not saying that's everyone's issue.
Right.
Because everyone has their own issues. I just think you have to have that conversation. One of the things that my husband and I did Sean's eulogy, and one of the things that I can honestly and truly sit here and say to you is I have no regrets. Like I have none when it comes to Sean. And people are like, well, why do you feel like that? Because that was not my decision that was made. That was Sean's decision.
Right.
And while that decision sucks, and I hate it, I have no regrets. And a lot of people can't say that. A lot of people can't say, I don't have any regrets.
Well, he had a good life, it sounds like.
Yeah.
He had a great life.
Yeah, he was a
And
great
he had
kid.
a great future.
Yeah.
But that's why we're doing this.
Right.
And that's why you're talking about it.
Right.
Because we need to do this.
Right.
We need to let people know that the sun's going to come up tomorrow and that there is help. I commend you, and I think it's wonderful. And I want to thank you again for sharing your story.
Sure.
I really do, because
Sure.
I think you're going to make a difference. This is making a difference.
I hope. I hope if one young person or 30-year-old or 40-year-old or 50-year-old says, maybe it's not as bad as I think it is.
Right.
Maybe I can call, anyone.
And
they
there
have
are
a new
numbers out there.
Right.
We have been promoting the 988.
Right.
Which,
Right.
there's a lot of help out there and a lot of people who want to help.
Right. And the stigma is slowly changing. But I think it's still there.
Oh, there's
because,
work to be done.
Yeah, because people don't
Right,
understand it. It's not a journey I would want anyone at all to be on. But I feel as Sean's mom, it's my job to continue to honor him by talking about it, and that's how I honor him.
Thank you again, Angela. I appreciate
Sure.
it. And I think
Sure.
what you're doing is making a difference.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today and listening to this deeply personal story. It reminds us of the importance of checking in on each other, showing compassion, and seeking help when needed. If you or someone you know is struggling, remember that you are not alone and there is support available. Let's break the silence and offer hope in the face of pain.